What if everything you knew about leadership was wrong? What if true leadership wasn't about power, but about service? The world is changing, and those who lead with impact and empathy are the ones reshaping the future. Welcome to Mural Podcast Experience, where influence is built on impact, and success is measured by the lives you transform. Today's world is in crisis. Leaders are disconnected, businesses are crumbling, employees are disengaged, traditional leadership models are failing, and people are looking for something different. Leaders who serve, not dictate. A leader who empowers, not controls. A leader who listens before they speak. But here's the truth. Leadership isn't about titles. It's about action. It's about the legacy you build through the lives you touch. Now imagine a world where leadership looks different, where a CEO doesn't command from the top, but inspires from within, where managers don't control, but empower and uplift. This is the era of actionable servant leadership, and it's transforming businesses, communities, and lives. Lead by listening. The best leaders ask, "How can I serve you?" Before giving orders, seek to understand. Serve first, succeed. Second, true leaders put people first. When you uplift your team, success naturally follows. Empower, don't control. Replace micromanagement with trust. Give people the tools and freedom to excel. Actionable servant leadership isn't a theory. It's a superpower that unlocks human potential. The world is looking for leaders who serve, lead, and inspire. Will you step up? Will you be the leader who changes the game? This is your moment. This is your call to lead differently, serve boldly, and transform lives. The question is, are you ready?
Building Resilient podcast. Thank you, everybody that's here today in this show. I'm going to say here that this is a very special show that we're going to have today because I'm coming back from Washington. We stayed 1 week in Washington. There was several events in something that is called the Hostage Awareness Week. So welcome everybody to the Building Resilient podcast. So we're coming back from a full week in Washington. We attended an event called the Hostage Awareness Week. So this show was not supposed to be done today because I'm having the series of the Meet the Expert. That is the 14 expert that I'm going to have during 14 weeks that I already have scheduled. But because I have stayed all this week in Washington, I put in pause the beginning of that event for next Monday, May 12th. So May 5, that is this Monday, I'm going to be airing this show. So coming back from Washington, I came with a lot of mixed feelings and mixed emotions. One of the things that really caught me was that I felt really energized how I could meet a lot of families that have gone through this situation during years. Like my family went through our situation during years. I have been 5 years hostage. And, this is my third year that I could attend this meeting because the first time I attended that meeting was in May 2023. It was 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, that I attended that meeting. And during that time, I literally had a couple of months that I had to return. And I got so impacted by that event that my book, From Hero to Villain, the first chapter is called The Journey to Freedom. It talks about the week that I attended in Washington. So this is my third year going to this event. And every year that I go, it's an opportunity to revisit all those great foundations that are working to bring Americans back, all those people that in the Congress, they are fighting hard also to make legislation to get the people protected. And at the same time, all those officers that attend all these events, there's a special presidential office called the Special Presidential Office for Hostage Affairs, SPIHA, that is attached to the State Department. It has rank of Subsecretary of State. They are wonderful people. I got connected because they work hard, relentlessly to get us released, and had the opportunity to meet them back again this week. A meeting with families that had gone through this situation or people that were hostage that they had returned. I had the blessing that they had meeting people that came back last year. For example, Mark Fogel, that he came back from Russia. It was incredible meeting him in person. He's an incredible person. He's a teacher. And I didn't know. He came back from Russia. But before that, he was a teacher in Venezuela, in the Escuela Campo Alegre, in Caracas, where I live. So he was a teacher in Venezuela before going to Russia. And he was teacher in Colombia too. So I had the opportunity to meet Mark Fogel. I had the opportunity to meet a guy that for me was a blessing meeting the second time, because last year when I came to the hosted week, I attended the invitation that the State Department did to the Special Presidential Office, like this year they did. And I remember that day I met this guy. He was going through a lot of pain because they had kidnapped his wife in Russia. She is a journalist, and he's a journalist too. He's a director of a radio station in Denmark that airs to all Europe, and she was covering some incident in Russia, and she was captured and accused to be an American spy. So that guy was going through a severe pain because he had 2 kids, and but talking 1 year ago with him, I told him, my friend, don't lose the hope. You stay strong. You will never know when your wife is going to come back. And I told him, I kindly prophesied, saying that, believe me, next year when you come back, you're going to come back with her. It was incredible. I was going in the Uber to the State Department, and we get in the entrance of the SPIHA office to take out the security clearance. There was a guy coming from the car, and it was him. And he was coming with her. So she came back. And he saw me, and he told me, hey, Jose, I always remember those words that you gave to me 1 year ago. The day you talked with me, you energized me, and you gave me hope. And he got stick to his hope. And some month after, she came back. She was received in the White House by Biden. And that day, her daughter was having 13 years birthday, and they gave her a birthday cake her in the White House, in the Oval Office. Can you imagine that? So this is the case why I see myself so energized every time I go there, because I had the opportunity to talk with people. This year, I also had the opportunity to meet Mark Sweden. Mark Sweden stayed almost 12 years in China. And it was funny because in the original mural that I'm going to talk later, that was in Georgetown, we were 19 faces, and he was in the left side of my face, Mark Sweden. In the right side of my face, we were 3 faces, was Siamak Namasi. And I also had the opportunity to meet him in this week in person. Siamak was the keynote speaker of the hosted U.S. Gala. And he talked about how has been his life after he came back. And I was like taking notes, check. And I told him, my friend, every time you were talking, I was so true, because this is something that people don't talk. That people think that when you come back, it's a end of a love story. And it is a blessing that you're coming back, but it's a new beginning. Your life is like a new rebirth. You are like reborn. but you had to regain your life back. You had to put your mental, physical, and financial situation back to normal. It takes time. It took me almost 2 years to go back. And all these guys that are returning are going through that process. Some of them don't speak. Siamar had the strength to speak loudly and talk all the process he's going through. And he was humble and honest to say it because this is what everybody experienced. In fact, I am really so pushed and moved about this that my second book, after From Hero to Villain, is going to talk about that. How is life after you come back? Stay tuned that next year I'm going to be publishing that book. Today I'm focused in translating my book in Spanish and republishing in Spanish, From Hero to Villain, de héroe a villano en español. But next book is going to be how is the life after you come back, the reborn, the rebirth that you go through. So I had the opportunity to meet all these guys, but at the same time, I had the opportunity to meet many of the families that are having hostage today. And I got in shock how much hostages are in Venezuela. Are 11 hostages. And I had the opportunity to meet most of those families. And that's what moved me to do this recording, because I was not thinking to do this recording. I was coming back from Washington, to restart my thing here in Houston. And I received during the night, sleeping, a message that I needed to do this recording, because this recording is going to be amplifying the message through my audience. That today I'm blessed that I have a big community in YouTube and all my social media. So this recording is for you guys that are hearing me today. It's a way that I can amplify the message and raise the awareness so you are aware about what is the so-called hostage diplomacy. Let me introduce that term because many people are not familiar with that. The hostage diplomacy is a very sophisticated method of diplomacy that mostly these evil countries, there are communist regime or a theocratic regime or autocratic regimes like the Russian regime or the Chinese regime, the Venezuelan regime, the Cuban regime, the North Korean regime, the Afghanistan regime, the Syria regime that failed, the Myanmar regime, many countries that apply this technique. It's a variation, the Iranian regime. By the way, the master of these techniques are the Iranians. They begin to do it 3,000 years ago. When they during the wars between countries, the Persians, they took hostages and they negotiated to exchange for favors and leverage them. They begin to do it 3,000 years ago. And they begin to refine that technique. And the first time it erupted in the modern era was in 1979, when the hostage crisis in the U.S. embassy in Iran. Everybody recalls that event. And that event was what launched a big campaign during the 1979 to bring those Americans back. If the people don't recall, there was the Yellow Ribbon campaign. That's why today that flag has the color of yellow, because the Yellow Ribbon campaign was a campaign that every American put a yellow ribbon in front of her house to make a pressure to the government to bring these people back. But that time was in office Jimmy Carter. And he began to receive a lot of pressure to bring these people back. It went so hard, the pressure, that he did a kind of a secret negotiation to bring these people back. And the Islamic regime was supposed to honor before the elections. But the story was that they pushed back the arrangement, the treaty that they have got, and that made the Jimmy Carter lose the elections. The guy that promised to bring them back was Ronald Reagan, and he did good his work a couple of months after, days after, and that's what the story did. They made Ronald Reagan to win the election and Jimmy Carter to lose the election. Things happened for some reason because Jimmy Carter, when he lost the election, he didn't stop there. He began to be a very strong advocate for the human right, and he created the Carter Foundation that became really strong, helping sovereign countries to defend the democracy. And he began to be a very strong advocate for the clean elections in all these countries. Unfortunately, Jimmy Carter passed. And this week, during the hosted week, during the Foley Foundation Gala, he received the heartfelt award of the Richardson Center, the Heart Award postmortem to Jimmy Carter. He was honored with a standing ovation as an honoree of the award in the Foley Foundation. So that flag that you see there is today an official flag. This flag is a flag that is aired every time a hostage is returned, every March 6th, that is the official hostage day, and every time there is any official day in the federal building. It was a strange and blessed coincidence that being us there in the gala in April 30, during the middle of the gala, was announced that was released Joras Siankovich from Belarus. And the guy that was supposed to give the award to Jimmy Carter, that was Mickey Berman, couldn't attend that event because he was flying in the plane with Joras Siankovich coming back to the U.S. So kudos to Mickey for the good job he does. And he attended in May 2, the hosted U.S. Gala. The day after, he was in the Gala. So this guy is so committed that he attended the meeting. Well, let me tell you something. The day after, when we attended the special presidential office meeting in the State Department, they raised this flag because this guy has returned, and we had the opportunity to see the raising of the flag. So it was an incredible coincidence. I don't think they are coincidences. Are things handled by God. God is giving the strong message that he's behind the family, supporting them. And we heard the speech in the speaker department saying that the president of the U.S. is strongly committed to bring the Americans back. So to those people that are having families hostage, don't lose the hope. Continue doing the great job that you're doing, that your family are going to be back. May 1st, there was unveiled the third mural in the Georgetown alley. Today is a very popular tourist alley called the Freedom Alley. I want to say here something. Maybe the people are not familiar. The first mural was unveiled in May 2022, sorry. Couple of months after we were released. How did it happen? Our family and the other 6 family, we were 6 families, got together and they met a family of a person that was in Iran that he came back, Emad Shargi, Neda. And one of the champions of our family, that is Alexandra Forse, that today she's a director of the U.S., she got with Neda, and together with another friend that had a family also in Rwanda, Paul Rosusubahina, her name is Amber Bobbin. The 3 of them and another guy that is a strong advocate for the hosted recovery is Jonathan Frank. So Jonathan Frank, Amber Bobbin, Neda Shargi, and Alexander Forse, they created they decided to talk with other families, including my family, and they created the Bring a Family Home campaign. So that's how this movement started. The Bring a Family Home campaign started that way. Not all the family, because by the time we're like 60 family, only 18 family decided to come to the event, because this is another thing that happens. Many people that are going through this process decided to go silent, stay quiet, because they are afraid that if they do noise, it can affect their loved ones. I'm here to say that is very humbly say that it's a mistake. You have to be loud, as much loud as possible, because this is the way that you will amplify the noise to bring them back. In particular, I gave this strong message to the Venezuelan people, the people that are in Venezuela, because if in there, in that regime, they don't hear the noise, they will say, oh, these people are not important. But if they hear the noise, these guys are safe and protected. It's going to raise the leverage, but well, it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off, but don't keep silent. Keep doing what you're doing. Go to the press, go to the journalists, go to the government, do more events like this. So they unveiled a new mural with 11 faces. The original mural was originally 18 faces. It was added at number 19. Couple of months after, there was the face of Aiden Hernandez, that he was released from Venezuela. He's a Californian lawyer. So now in that first mural were 19 faces. From those 19 faces, 17 came back, including me. There are two faces that didn't come back. One of them, unfortunately, is a guy that he passed in Iran, the father of Gazelle Kamasas. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong, because it's difficult to pronounce her surname. But Gazelle's father, he passed in Iran. So honor to Gazelle, that she did an incredible job with, to her father. And the second person that hasn't returned is Salah Dalil. Salah Dalil is still left behind. He has 9 years in Iran. He's a lawfully permanent resident that has been 9 years, and the family is fighting to get him approved as a wrongfully detained. And unfortunately, his face is coming back in this third mural that's being unveiled. And that is the reason of this recording, because I want to raise the names of these 11 persons that are in that mural. So let's start talking about the first person, that is Lucas Hunter. Lucas Hunter is in Venezuela since January 7th, so he has kind of 4 or 5 months that he was captured. He was in the Colombian border because he's a 37 years old guy. He can be my kid. My kid, eldest kid, has 38 years. And he was biking and kite surfing. He's a guy that loves outdoor sport. He was having fun. He was captured. And today his family is fighting hard to bring him back. So this is the first phase that is in that mural. The second phase is Juras Siankovic, that he came back. His face was there, he came back. He came back, he was released in April 30, so one day before unveiling the mural, that guy came back. That mural makes magic, I can tell you, makes magic. So Juras, he was in Belarus, and he was sentenced to a 30 and a half years sentence, same as me. They said that he was plotting a coup. Can you imagine that? That he was plotting a coup because he's a Belarus American citizen. And after several diplomat efforts, he could come back, and Mickey Berman and the people of the Espija office brought him back. I believe he came back to Kuwait, because the way this work, this country, normally there are some friendly countries like Kuwait or Qatar that they leverage their negotiation to help to bring people back. So he was traded in Kuwait, and from Kuwait he came back to the U.S. And that's the way that that flag was raised. I'm going to talk a little bit about this flag because the people are not aware. This flag, there are only two flags beside the American flag that can be raised officially in the federal government. The first flag has long time, years, decades. That is the Mission in Action and the Prisoner of War flag, the MIAPOW flag. Has decades, I believe, since the Second World War II and the Vietnam War, that flag came up as an official flag. Less than 3 years ago, I believe less than 2 years ago, a lot of people, because there is a lot of work behind this flag, congressmen from the hostage fusion cell, people from the SPIA office, people from the counterintelligence division, people from all the foundations and families, around 80 families, including my family, got through a designer that was authorized by the government to bring an idea, and that was the result. That is a result of a lot of people, but mostly the pain of 80 families is reflected here. So when you see this flag, there is a lot of pain behind, and including my family, that today I have the honor that they are part of this moment in the history. This flag today is an official flag authorized by the U.S. Congress, and today it has to be raised in any event when a hostage is released. In March 6th, the day officially declared the hostage the Wrongfully Detained Day, or any official federal days. So this flag was raised on May 1st in honor of Jura Sankovic, that came back one day before. And I was honored to be there when it was raised, because we were in the moment in the State Department attending the Special Presidential Office event. So we had the video when the flag was raised. The third person that is in that mural is the Jorge Marcelo Vargas. We had the opportunity to meet the families. We could meet in person the family of Jorge. Jorge has been since September in Venezuela. He has like 6 months, 7 months in Venezuela. He's also an American citizen, and the bad thing that in Venezuela they're doing today, that they're disappearing the persons. They're not allowing to have lawyer, not allowing to bring food or medicine, and the families are having a lot of pain because they don't know where their loved ones are. They are presumed to be in the El Rodeo, one of the most infamous prisons of Venezuela. When I was there, I stayed in the two worst dungeons of Venezuela. One is the Dijecin, that is the military dungeon. I stayed in Boleita, in the main headquarters of the Dijecin, in a 3-story down basement, something called La Casa de los Sueños, the House of Dreams. It's terrible. And the Submarine, terrible places. But now they decided to move the people to El Rodeo. Also, the Helicoide, that is the civil dungeon, people are being moved now to El Rodeo. So I don't know how the Rodeo is. I know that Rodeo is a very dangerous prison. They open a special space where they have today the American and other countries hostage. Because the problem with Venezuela, that this became like a business model. They discovered there is a lot of business behind. If nobody deters them, they're going to continue doing this because they found that they can find things doing this. There's a big thing. I remember that when I came back, I had the opportunity to do a speech in the House talking about this. And one of the things that I was saying, I remember it got recorded, is that this is a national security threat. It's a national security threat because the people can be taken anywhere, only because you have a American passport. The number four person is the Joseph Sinclair. Joseph Sinclair was detained also in Venezuela in November 2024. So he has also around 6 months in Venezuela. He's a Air Force veteran, and he was traveling the region because after he came back from the war zone, he was having a lot of PTSD events. So he decided to go to his healing process, and he was having fun in Colombia. And he was detained, and he was literally abducted. He was literally abducted from Colombia, and well, now he's in a Venezuelan prison. There is another guy called Mahmoud Habibi. Mahmoud Habibi is in Afghanistan since August 10, 2022. He has almost 3 years. And by the way, my birthday is August 9th, so it's kind of the same day of my birthday. This guy was detained. It was during those convulsed days that the Taliban regime took Kabul, and there was all this convulsation. That day, that guy was captured. So Mahmoud Habibi has been since there. The number six face is Wilmer Castañeda, also in Venezuela since August 2024. So Wilmer has more than 9 months in Venezuela. I had the opportunity to meet his brother Christian. They are from Texas, but Christian lives in Arizona. And by the way, the day after we met in the Foley Foundation, the day after he was interviewing CNN with the father of Joseph Sinclair in the Jay Taper program in CNN, because I'm going to say here thing. There are a lot of wonderful journalists. They are very strong supporters and advocates for the hostage community. So to anybody that's going through this situation, there are a lot of journalists that really, really work hard to amplify this message. I had the opportunity during the Freedom Alley unveil of the mural and the day after in the State Department to give the thanks to Jennifer Hansley of CNN. She interviewed me when I came back, and she was very on top of our event on the 606 during our detention. So I gave her the thanks because she really was very supportive, and she was there, and she was covering the interviews with the families. So this is something that is part of that what people don't believe. Sometimes the people say, "Hey, Jose, you have been in several media." Yeah, but I have been there because I was a hostage. So nobody wants to be there because you were a hostage. So I'm today expressing my message, but I would have preferred not to have gone to that situation. But well, it's what happened. It's what life is. So Wilber Castañeda, his brother Christian, and a friend of him, have been strong advocates because this is something else I want to say. One of the things that happen when you're going through a hostage situation is that not only you become a hostage, all your family members become hostage. Fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters, aunts, cousins, siblings, nephews, because you see them. I saw a lot of families there and friends. And friends. I'm going to say here, I always remember when Nathan Hernandez was taken hostage, who were the strongest advocate for him, because his father and his mother, of course, were. Don Pedro was a strong advocate, and his brother too. But his friends, he has several friends like Drew Haven and Ian Hume. They were so immersed in the advocacy to bring him back that I remember that when he came back, and I had the opportunity that last year to talk with him, and I told him, "Hey, Avi, you have to be a wonderful person because having those friends advocating so hard for you talks loudly about the person that you are." Same I'm gonna say here to Wilber Castañeda. When I saw his friend, I don't remember his name, that was in all the event with Christian, talking about his friend, talks that he's a good guy because having friend that advocates so hard for you, say that you're a great person. Number 7, I'm going to talk about David Barnes. This is another, the seventh face that is there. David Barnes is a guy that's in Russia. By the way, during the unveiling of the mural, all the families were talking about their cases. And one of the siblings, Carla Barnes, she was who speak for David. And he mentioned a little bit of the background of his situation because he's a Texan. He lived in Texas. He got married here. That he met a Russian lady here in Texas, and they got 2 kids. And well, things didn't go well. They got divorced, and apparently the divorce was not so friendly. And he was fighting for the custody of his kid. His ex-wife moved to Russia back, and then he came to Russia to try to gain custody of his daughters. And well, unfortunately, he's detained since 2022. So he has 3 years in Russia. Another guy that has the same time in Russia is Robert Gilman. Robert Gilman is a Marine Corps. He was also traveling uh, 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 in a train trip. And during the train trip, he was uh, moving around, and he had a, a medical situation. He felt bad. And instead of sending him to the hospital, he went to a prison. So he has 3 years in the prison because he came sick. Can you imagine that? There is another guy that's still also in Russia. That is Andrei Kachaturian. Andrei Kachaturian, he was also catching a flight, and he had an authorized, licensed, secure firearm. They find the firearm. They were accused to be smuggler arms to the country, and he's in prison since December 27, 2022. So he has almost 4 to 5 years. All these cases always are like that. Sham trials, sham accusations, because they don't care of you. You become to be a target, to be used to get leverage for things they want they want to swap you, they want to find things, they want to find something that act in favor of them. And you became a pawn, a simple pawn. The number 10 face is Shahad Ali. As I mentioned, this guy has been left behind since 9 years ago. He's a lawful permanent resident, and he has been since 9 years. The family has been fighting hard to get him classified as wrongfully detained. For some reason, it hasn't happened. He's in Iran. He's a 60-year-old guy, and well, he's gonna have almost 10 years there. By the way, he was sentenced for a 10-year prison, so typically he should be coming back next year. Nobody knows, but his family has been fighting really hard. He has a son that has been a strong advocate for his case. I remember one of the other family that I could meet this week was Kylie. He was also a guy that was in China. There were 3 guys in China: the pastor David Lin, that I had opportunity to meet him, Mark Sweden, and Kylie. The 3 came back. There was a negotiation, and the 3 were released simultaneously. Well, Kylie, his son Harrison, was an incredible advocate for his father, and he was there, Harrison, with his father. I had the opportunity to say to Kai, hey, you have a wonderful son. Your son were a strong advocate. He was always talking about his father. And this is something that talks about how the family ties sometimes are so important, because having a son, a father, a mother, talking loudly for you always is amplify the message. In that event, I had the opportunity to talk with Madame Deborah Tice. She's a very honorable lady. She's the mother of Austin Tice, that has 12 years disappeared in Syria. Even after the Syrian regime failed, they had the opportunity. She went to Syria with some official officers of the government, and one of the guy of incredible foundation that today I'm connected with them. And Nizar Saka from Hosted A Worldwide. Nizar flew with Ms. Deborah Tice and some U.S. Officers, and they stayed almost 1 month trying to going prison by prison, seeking for Austin. They haven't found it yet. So from here we pray that Miss Deborah has the final blessing that can have her son back after 12 years, and she's a rental fighter for his release. She was there in the Foley Foundation event. And the last, and also I had the opportunity to meet Pastor David Lin. Incredible story. This guy stayed 17 years in China, and he's a Christian pastor. And during years, he flew to China because he had an underground Chinese community. Everybody knows that China is a communist regime. It's a atheist regime. But this guy was having a Christian community that he was supported, and he flew to China to have a meeting, and they cut him. Even he was authorized. He had an authorization to do it, but they didn't care. They took him. And this pastor is back, and he's doing now sermons. So even he stayed 17 years, because during his captivity, during 17 years, in the jail, he created a ministry. He was doing a daily praying and a weekly praying school, and he was having the Sunday sermons. So he created like a church inside the prison. So that's what the faith believers do. So now today he's doing back sermons, and I had the honor to meet him in person. So the phase number 11 is Zach Sahin. Zach Sahin is an incredible story. This guy, every time I hear his story, blows my mind. The strong advocator and the focal point of his campaign is his sister-in-law. Is his sister-in-law and his wife also always supporting her, but the vocal is her sister-in-law that is one of the directors of the Bring Our Family Home campaign. They were living in Dubai. This guy was a top executive of one of the soda coke companies, and he was moved to the UAE and as a CEO of that company. And apparently that company had some merchant acquisition with some federal funds, and they became like a mixed company, 50-50 government and private company. And he stayed as a CEO, and he was accused of corruption and had signed a contract. Same case like me. So every time I talk with his family, I say, I feel so identified with your case, with was exactly our accusation. We're be accused to be American spy, to have committed treason, and to have made a false contract signature. That was, of course, everything was false. Was a sham trial. This guy has today 17 years in the UAE, and even in the UAE, it's a friendly country. They haven't released it. So, and he has not been officially being assigned as a wrongfully detained. So from here, we say to the Sahin family, because his son also is a strong advocate. They are from here, from Houston. By the way, they have family in Venezuela, because there are Lebanese, and Venezuela has a big Lebanese colony, and they have family in Venezuela. So these people, all of them, I tell them that keep doing what they're doing, continue advocating for the family, continue doing what you're doing, going to the press, going to the government, going to the Congress. And today that I'm recording this, I'm gonna talk with to you audience, to you that are hearing me. If you don't know, this is the first time that you hear about this, That is the intention of this recording, that you are aware about this situation. The hostage diplomacy is real. It's happening. Not only happening here in the U.S., it's happening typically in several first world countries like Belgium, France, Spain, Italy, Germany, Canada. People that are get caught in the middle of political things. Normal people. You don't have to be a politician. You can be having a family trip, a conference, you're attending a family visit, whatever, and you get caught in the middle because they find that you have an American passport and they find that they can use you as a pawn. So the first thing I want to say is avoid to going to those places. Before traveling, go to the State Department page and see if that place is safe to travel. You will find a lot of information how you have to avoid those places. I cannot imagine how still today are people flying to China or to Iran or to Venezuela, for example, or to Russia. American people going there seriously? Now that this has become a business model, taking care of the people like political pawns and use them, leverage. They literally ask for ransom for these people. So avoid going there. And the other thing that I want to say is, if you're hearing this, connect. If you're an American citizen, connect with your congressman, connect with your constituent, and ask for their release. Begin to be part of this movement, this campaign. There are a lot of foundations today that are supporting the hostage community. We attended several events in Washington. Were responsible for this foundation. That, for example, we attended the James Foley Legacy Foundation, Gala. This is a foundation that advocate for Americans, and they are very focused on the journalism, because that foundation was created after that Jim Foley, a journalist, was abducted and killed beheaded by ISIS 12 years ago. There's the foundation called Hostage US that advocates to bring the people back in regain balance with their physical, their emotional, and their financial support. I had the opportunity to meet for second time during 3 years with my therapist that is part of the a group of Hostage US. And my therapist, I have a weekly session with her. And today we are really good friends. And she's there, she was there because she's part of the community of therapists that support the trauma recoveries. And there are another foundation. I continue mentioning there. One of them is the Bring Our Family Home campaign. That was one of the creators of this flag. It's a family campaign that brings people back. You can see the Hostage Day Worldwide, that is Nizar Saka and Carol Chedid. Wonderful people that advocate for hostages all over the world. You have the Richardson Center that today Mickey Berman has his own foundation. He was the deputy director, and now he has his own foundation. And he was the guy that brought this guy from Belarus through Kuwait. They do a lot of advocacy for bringing people back. Ali Soufan and the Soufan Foundation. Ali Soufan is a former counterintelligence expert that now today does risk assessment, international risk assessment, and support all these foundation with all this risk expertise he has. There's a foundation like La Naldantos Foundation or the Aber Fakuri Foundation or the House of Freedom Foundation that also do advocacy. All of them are rowing in the same direction, doing advocacies. Some of them have some lines of expertise, but combined, all of them are part of that movement that is advocacy for the hostage community. In the Congress, there is a bipartisan group called the Hostage Fusion Cell. The people from that are Republican and Democrat got together to bring up legislation to support the hostage community. Today, there is the Robert Levinson Act. There is an act that protects, is the umbrella that protects the hostage community, but the act has need to get some revisiting and reform. There are three amendments that have been done, introduced in the Congress. One is to, protect your credit score when you come back, protect the tax burden when you come back, and protect the social security when you come back. These three things, you cannot imagine how become key when you come back. Because, for example, if you're a person that get retired, those years that you have been lost could be recovered once this is approved. Those problems with the tax can be solved if this amendment is approved. And the other one is that the credit score, you got your credit score screwed up. I was a guy with a credit score over 800, and when I came back, had it below 500. Because again, you are being lost in translation since years. People are not aware of that. People don't understand this. It's a very complex situation, and only somebody that has gone through this can understand this. So that's why I'm here today talking about this, because I was a victim. My family was a victim. And the only way I can try to raise awareness is talking with the experience I went through. So finally, this I'm gonna final this event. Next week we're gonna restart our building podcast, building resilient podcast, talking about meeting the expert. My first expert I'm gonna have is a guy called Dr. Brian Klossner. Dr. Brian Klossner is a very, very reputable authority in trauma recovery. He's the director of the Wakeman Medical Center. The people that doesn't know, the Wakeman Medical Center is a huge medical center in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was there because when I came back, I went through a trauma recovery process, and he was one of them, the person that sponsored me, that mentored me, because he is very connected to the hosted US, and they do this kind of the sponsorship. They help you, and you're gonna know how we got connected and how and you want to hear his story. I'm not gonna spoil nothing, so I'm gonna leave you to come Monday, the 12th, to hear the first show, the Meet the Expert with Dr. Brian Klessner. Said this, we're coming to the end. Thank you for hearing this, and if you're gonna be hearing this recorded, please forward it to your family, to your friend. Amplify this message. This is not because of me. This is because of these people that I'm talking about them. These people deserve that their story be known, deserve that much people pressure to the Congress, to the constituent, to bring them back. So this program is in honor of them, and thank you very much for hearing me. Bye.